Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hands Across the Water. I'm here with my co-host, Andy Nichols. How you doing, Andy?
Afternoon, sir, and good to be on with you for what feels like it's been a while for a proper episode.
It does feel like it's all that touring that's you've been nomading it across the States and Canada, across North America.
Yeah, but you have too, and you know all about that.
Yeah. So in today's episode, we're going to be sort of summing up about the anthology, the series, the albums, particularly Anthology 4, and just sort of chewing the fat over what has been delivered. How are you feeling about the series, Andy? The cuts and stuff like that, and the extra material that was put in. What's your general thought on that?
You know, there was a lot of lip service given from the first generation hardcore Beatle fans, as I'm sure you well know,
Yeah.
and the purists about cutting the original DVD release that was in 2003 and
Yeah.
trimming every episode down to about an hour's time. And initially I felt the same way. So I'm like, oh, why are they cutting it? But I got to tell you, having just recently finished watching it on Disney Plus, it's a good edit. I really think it's been streamlined. Now, listen, it's sacrilege to cut things like the Washington Coliseum performance and some of the live material that's been cut out of that. But
Yeah.
I think you mentioned this in one of your reviews on your videos that, we're in a very different world in 2025 than we were in 1995. We can watch any of those performances anytime we want, like that. And in 2003, we couldn't.
No. And the thing to remember about the cuts is that the shows that went on Disney Plus were actually longer than the shows that were actually originally shown on TV around the world. They were, a few minutes longer. They're only shorter compared with the DVD, really, because all the DVDs had about 10 to 15 minutes more footage in each DVD, didn't it?
Yes.
And so people were kind of not comparing like with like, because back in '95 that was put out for a mass audience, not a hardcore Beatles fan audience. It was put out for it went out on primetime TV, so it was there to attract everyone. And a lot of the everyone people are not interested in the minutiae. They just want bang, 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 tell us the story. And I think that a lot of the extra stuff that was included in the DVD was a bit of fluff, really. Some of it was good, but some of it was not really that consequential. So I think they probably made the right edit back in the 90s. I think they made the right edit this time as well.
Right, for a modern viewer. Obviously in a PC world, if you've watched it, certain things were trimmed out. Like
they were
talking about lighting the condom on fire in Hamburg. That's out.
Yeah. I don't know why, though. I don't know why.
Right, that you could have left in.
Gen Zs know what a condom is,
right.
And they can't possibly be offended by the word condom, can they?
I would think not, but you never know. No. Things like when they're talking about the whole saga of the traveling in the Philippines, and in the original broadcast, the original DVD version, George talked about having resentment for those people. Now on Disney Plus, he just says, "I had resentment." Cut.
Yeah.
So, the scene from Magical Mystery Tour where they're shoveling the spaghetti onto Aunt Jessie's plate, and he says, they cut out the word fat, things like that. They're trying to make it a little more sanitized.
Yeah. The other thing that I was going to ask you was, do you think that the shortened version on Disney Plus is because of instant gratification for people that are coming to this for the first time, not having in an elongated maybe attention span to cover to cover all the minutiae? And do you think that is different from when you watched it? Because when you watched it back in the 90s, you were a teenager, right?
Yep.
So is that just a kind of a young person's thing, that they don't want to sit down for for hours and watch something that's too long, sort of thing. They want to
So
instant gratification.
you ask a really polarizing question, and the answer is yes and no, because the younger viewer does want instant gratification. I talk to people all the time about this. The advent of binge watching and having that instant gratification it's like when you watch a great TV show on Netflix and the whole season's available and you can spend your whole weekend and watch an entire season in one go. And that's instant gratification. So I think that was done, obviously, for the anthology in 2025 to drop all 8-9 episodes and have the pacing of them done quick so it could satiate the new viewer. And a lot of young people had not seen the anthology unless they had the DVDs of their parents or the VHS set of their parents. This is ushering a whole new audience in. But on the other side of that coin, 4 years ago, you get this comprehensive 8-hour Got Back thing, which was also on Disney Plus, that only focused on 3 weeks of the Beatles' lives. Now, but that was a comprehensive 8-hour thing just on 3 weeks in the Beatles' life. So it's kind of a bit of a yin and yang.
No.
So I guess it all depends on the level of fandom. Got Back might have appealed to more of hardcore. Although that opened up a lot of doors for a lot of new fans, as we know. The Got Back documentary.
I don't know. My opinion is kind of split over that. But don't you think though when you watch a series on Netflix and it's like 10 episodes or something like that, do you quite often come away and think, oh, they could have told that story in 6 episodes?
Yes,
I do. And there's always like a little bit of excess baggage, I think, in these things. But I did really like the edit. I thought the visuals were just brilliant. The sound was just brilliant as well.
Yeah, the sound quality on all the music was is just spot on.
Yeah,
I loved how they did include the kind of the bonus videos that were on the 2009 box sets for the studio sessions of Revolver and Rubber Soul and all the earlier albums. That was a nice kind of change of pace to kind of drop that stuff in there from those documentaries. Even though we had them on that box set, to include them now in the anthology was a nice kind of spruce up on that.
Yeah.
But I on the whole, I thought it was a very well cut, produced anthology. I'm fine with it being on Disney Plus. If you want it physically, don't hold your breath for it, but there's plenty of ways to get it out there, like right now, if you want to have it.
Yeah. I think that whether that will come out as a Blu-ray or not is debatable because we still haven't seen Let It Be on a Blu-ray. But I think when it comes out must depend on how long Apple's contract is with Disney.
That's right.
Because they won't want to put out a Blu-ray while it's still streaming. So I don't know how long the contract would be, but it could be a wait until there's a Blu-ray for this.
It could be, and I am sorry, and I'm obviously we are down a host today, and I'll be remiss if I didn't mention our co-host here, Kyle Hand, who's busy right now locking down some schoolwork, and it's a pity that he couldn't join us for this episode because his take on the anthology is kind of one that I would have really liked to have heard because he wasn't around for it the first time. So, and we know from previous shows we've done with him, the anthology doesn't mean nearly as much to him as it does to you or to me.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just different times, really. Different times, because I think the main thing is, see, Kyle now lives in a world where outtakes and bonus material, is second nature. Every box set has got it, and there's several released every week. Back in 1995 and 1996, we'd never had Beatles outtakes wholesale, and that's why it means so much to us. And a series about the Beatles on mainstream telly, fantastic.
Such a groundbreaking time for the Beatles to get that attention in the 90s, to have a primetime documentary with 3 volumes of double CDs of material that we had been waiting for decades for. Finally, Neil and Apple opened up their vaults, and as you've often said on your videos, the best of the outtakes that we've ever gotten are on the anthology. That's what they are. They are on those 3 volumes. You stand by that, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I think there are a few exceptions, but I think that the best, they pick the best outtakes for 1, 2, and 3, and but there are a
And
few
yeah,
exceptions.
and we'll get into that as we kind of
Yeah,
dive into the topic proper. But before we do that, we actually are pretty happy here on Hands Across the Water because we have made it into print.
we
This little podcast that started in April of 2025 has made it into the latest issue of Mojo magazine, and Tony's going to show it to you right now.
so can I get that? It's on a.
So,
It's kind of where my thing. Oh God, I can't
so
get it.
that's all right. So Tony's holding up the physical copy. But just tell us the issue. It's the current issue. It's the December, January.
It's dated January, I think. No, it's dated February. They're always way ahead.
They're always way ahead, Mojo. That's February 2026.
It's the one that comes out on December the 1st or something like that. Well, here in the UK anyway. And basically, they've done a piece on Paul McCartney's new album, what they've heard. And they reference Denny's, well, there it is. There it is, his first album since 2020's McCartney 3. Macca has worked with producer Andrew Watt. There have been rumours of strings recorded at Abbey Road. Song-wise, in September, original Wings drummer Denny Sywell recalled a studio visit for the Hands Across the Water Beatles podcast, where he heard a song of acute sentimental power that made them all well up. All of a sudden, he said, the three of us are having a big group hug, and by that he means Paul, Denny, and Andrew Watt. Fantastic. In February, Watt told Howard Stern Paul plays every instrument himself and then starts harmonizing, and those harmonies are Beatles harmonies and Wings harmonies, and they're probably they're the greatest harmonies in popular music, probably.
Yeah, we made it.
We were chuffed to little mint balls, weren't we, when we saw that? That was so good. That was so good. But it just goes to show you just don't know who's watching, do you? So, it's we know from conversations with with Simon Hilton that we know that the Lennon estate watches this stuff, watches our stuff, and obviously other people do as well.
So yeah, it was nice. Oh man,
we had that retraction of Anthology 4 when it was only available in the box set, and everyone was up in arms about it.
Yes,
and then they backpedaled on that. So they are listening to us to some degree. They're just not listening to us about Rubber Soul, are they?
No,
but they're listening to us a bit. They're listening to us a bit. But yeah, we were so chuffed about that. And if you guys haven't seen our interview with Denny Sywell, it is a great interview. He's done a great interview for us, and we're sharing some wonderful memories going back to the 70s and some even more recent ones, meetings with Paul and that sort of thing. So do go and watch it if you haven't seen it.
Please do. And editors of Mojo, thank you for noticing our podcast with Denny, because Denny did make the rounds on a lot of different podcasts, but he hit ours first. So Denny, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't recall him telling that. I did watch a few of them, but I don't recall him telling that story on any of the other ones that I watched. Maybe we got a bit of an exclusive there. I don't know, but
yeah. And I know we're kind of going all over the place. We'll get back to Anthology, but since we're talking about Denny Sywell, I'm sure at some point we're going to review the Wings book. Tony, have you finished reading it?
No, I'm into it, but I haven't read it yet. It's for me, it's a little bit lightweight when you compare it to the McCartney Legacy. It's a lot lightweight compared with McCartney Legacy. I mean, that is the final word as far as I'm concerned on the Wings period. That McCartney Legacy 1 and 2. I mean, I haven't got to the end of it yet, but I haven't. However far I am in it, I think I'm up to Red Rose Speedway. I think, and I haven't learned anything that I don't know. But
I'll tell you what was, and I was texting with Adrian Sinclair about this. Probably some of the best bits of the book so far, and I'm up to Band on the Run, is actually the university tour, because they went back and they got quotes from the students who actually attended the gigs. And that was a nice wrinkle of new information, because we hadn't heard that.
Okay.
You know, all those gigs that in February of 72 where they went all over the UK and they pulled some quotes from the students who were there at the time. So that was a nice wrinkle. But, you know, I have spoken to Adrian about this, and, you know, he has spoken with people from MPL, and they admit, you know, hey, we have looked at your books. We know that your books were a lot of inspiration for a lot of this material. So bravo, Sinclair and Alan Cozen, and much continued success to both of those chaps. And and Man on the Run and all that good stuff that's going to be coming out in February of 2026 on Amazon.
Yeah, and well, we should get volume 3, shouldn't we, next year? Would that be?
I hope so. I haven't heard anything about volume 3 in a while.
We don't know, do we? We just know it's got a green cover.
It's got a green cover. That's all we know. But it's going to go through the 80s, so we know that. But we'll look forward to that. But back to the topic on hand, Anthology. Tone, let's talk. We've talked about the documentary. Let's talk about the 3 before and we'll end it with volume 4. But let's talk about volume 1. I think out of all 3 volumes, the music upgrade that you hear with the remixing, I think volume 1 is the one that sticks out more than any other 3 volumes. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so, because that has kind of got the poorest quality recordings on it, like the early Quarrymen stuff and some of the live stuff that's on there. But I think there's a little bit of a hangover of that stuff on Anthology 2 as well. But it's the studio stuff that really benefits, I think, from the remastering. Now, sometimes when you get a remaster, you know, it's quite hard to tell the difference, really.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but this remaster is blatantly obvious. You get the 2 files up on your computer and play one, then play the other, and there's no comparison. It's just fantastic. The remastering is just fantastic, and I think, you know, maybe they can do more with a simple remaster these days than they used to be able to do. You know, but it's really good. It's really good.
And this is stuff that was 30 years old, right? So listening to even things like this, like the No Reply and I'll Be Back and things like that, you on Anthology 1. Anthology 1 for me has always been my favorite volume of all 3.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Mine's 3. I like 3 best, but
I just like 1 because I like hearing the early stuff, and especially now it's all been cleaned up a little bit like that. And it's just, I mean, listen, I love all 3 volumes, and we'll get to volume 4, but there is a nice quality about 1. I mean, apart from the speeches bit, which is a bit that gets a bit tedious. Some of that I wish that should have been cut out on volume 1 and volume 2. And Tommy, did you get the vinyl and the CD? Both?
I did, yeah.
You did. Okay, so far I've only got the vinyl right now, but you said you compared them on your computer.
Yeah,
so
It's and I've got like a hi-fi attached to it as well, so it wasn't just like playing it through my computer speakers. It's through like a proper amp and proper speakers as well.
So with those vocal versions, we had Free as a Bird and Real Love remastered, but then remixed on volume 4. What did you know? Did you notice any big difference between the remix? Now we'll get to the remixes of Free as a Bird and Real Love in a few minutes, but let's just talk about the 2025 remaster. Did you notice a big difference between 1995 and the 2025 remaster, not the remix?
Not massive differences, but I thought overall it sounded kind of, both of them sort of sounded fuller, and slight improvement on the voice. I'm not sure what changes were made. I think just remastering, maybe I don't know, some of the hiss out of the tape might have made the voice clearer.
Yes, I've heard a little bit more. I've heard some backing vocals a little more clearer on the remaster, so that you can just hear differences on. So, but it's an interesting choice. I was wondering if they were going to just open up volume 1 and volume 2 with the remixes, but they didn't do that. Do you agree with that or not?
I didn't think they were going to, because I thought that they would keep them as they were. But I kind of understand, if you've got it on vinyl, I kind of understand why they kept the remixes as the only things that were on side 6 of the LP, But if you've got this, the CD,
Mm.
it don't make no difference if it's the last three tracks, because you've got the rest of disc two. So I'm not really sure what the thinking was, but maybe it's just a chronological thing.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Probably. I really would have liked if they had just resequenced them and put the remixes on volume 1 and volume 2, and then open up volume 3 with Now and Then, and then have a volume 4 separate without those 3 on there. That's what I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah. What do you think about? Do you think that they should have integrated Anthology 4 into volumes 1, 2, and 3, so that it ran in proper chronological order, as it was how we came to? Do you think that having it stand alone, and then as soon as you put it on, you go right back to the beginning? Standing there. Do you think that might be confusing to young people that are coming at this for the first time?
Perhaps. I mean,
we've just been on the rooftop and done the end, and now we're starting again.
Right. Yeah. I think if you would have taken all the contents of what we got on 4 and kind of chopped and kind of placed them into volumes 1, 2, and 3, now you're talking a 3 CD set, and maybe you're talking a 4 LP set now for each.
Yeah.
Which and you've got a rebranded Anthology with stuff now put into it, but now you're kind of doing that. Are you pissing off the purists now because now you're tampering with an original running order?
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
I would have been fine with kind of expanding volume 1 to include, I saw her standing there, take 2, and Money, and This Boy, and Tell Me Why. Would you have liked that too, or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, but I'm kind of coming at it as someone from the point of view of someone coming at this for the very first time that didn't have 1, 2, and 3. I just think it's a little bit, this is kind of tacked on the end, and it shouldn't really be here, because you're kind of going back to the beginning again.
I know
but I'm just thinking that people that don't have a phenomenal knowledge of the Beatles' history, or maybe they've just become a fan, and they've got a bit of a journey to go to kind of get the whole story in their heads and that sort of thing, because it does take a bit of time, doesn't it?
It takes time, and that's one of the things I always talk about with a lot of young people, is that we spent decades curating and building our collections and tracking down bootlegs to have all these versions, and now I think all this stuff is available at the fingertips of the young listener.
Yeah.
And they have access to it all, but there's so much music, and how do you consume so much if you're Kyle Hand and you're 27?
Yeah.
How do you go through all the box sets and get everything? And now still, and he has, God bless he took his journey, and he often said that, the White Album box set in 2018 was his kind of door opening to this stuff.
Yeah.
So now he's looking at it from a different point of view, whereas we're like, okay, we went through the Anthology, 3 volumes in the 90s. We dissected it. We know every chapter and verse. We were 4 guys, started a band. Like we can recite the running order in our head backwards and forwards. So we look at it differently. It's just interesting. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
To look at it that way. And I think what we got on volume 4, I mean, there's only there's 36 tracks. Okay. And we know that only 13 out of those 36 tracks were new material. And there's been a lot of YouTube videos out there that have just been crapping on this. Like, you're just basically just milking everybody, and the first generation fan is not being taken care of. Do you agree with that, Tony, or not?
Yeah, I think so. But, I've always thought that they wouldn't put that much unreleased material on Anthology 4, because maybe they're saving it for box sets, individual box sets. And if they use them on Anthology, then they're just repeating, right? So, maybe that was the reason. I mean, really, it's only 12 songs in it, because This Boy was on the
flip side
of the CD single, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
We already had that out 30 years ago.
Yeah. And I saw her standing there on Free as a Bird? I can't even remember now. I can't remember, but I know that This Boy was on Was it on Real Love? I can't
I
remember.
think it was on Real Love.
Yeah.
Did you get the Freeze a Bird and Real Love single remix?
Yeah, I haven't actually had it yet, but Mrs. Beatley Tone has ordered it for me for Christmas, but I think she's keeping it till Christmas.
Mrs. Claus is going to wrap it up for you. There you go.
There you go. There you go. But yeah.
Did you like what they did remixing Freeze a Bird and Real Love? Let's talk about the remixes now. And I did a video on my channel about Real Love. I know what you commented on, lovely. Thank you. And my thoughts are on that. But what do you think about the remix job compared to the original, the original ones?
Yeah, I thought they were great. I thought they were. I mean, no complaints whatsoever about Free as a Bird. It's infinitely better. You know, and with Real Love, it's it's down to your point of view. If you're concerned about four 3-note guitar licks from George being cut off at the end, when it goes round that refrain kind of 10 times, and now it only goes around 6 times, so you've got 4 missing. But I thought that John's voice sounded better. You described it as being chipmunky.
Yes,
on the original, and I thought it sounded much more like John Lennon on this version, so that's a plus. You've got the kind of Ringo's fill going into it, whereas before it was just like a single snare,
right?
So that's better. And I like the remix, but I'm not. Oh my god, it's got to be the same as it was. It's a remix. It's got to be different. That's the point.
It's just very funny. A lot of people said that they really preferred John's ghostly vocal from 1990, almost like it was like coming from the grave. They preferred that than being up front and center now.
Yeah.
Listen, if technology can improve Beatles recordings, then I'm all for it. Why not?
Me too.
And as you've often said, Tony, you can go back and listen to this stuff anytime. But what the question is, in 5-10 years' time, what becomes the go-to version? What becomes the standard? Now, a great case in point to this is if you go on the Beatles YouTube channel, and I'd like to credit David Gargolino, one of the original co-hosts of Two Legs About This, and you look up Free as a Bird on the Beatles YouTube channel. That's a video that's been posted of 14 years ago?
Yeah.
But it now includes what you're hearing now is the remix. The video is still the same video, but they somehow in YouTube magic, they have kept the views, but converted the remix. Did you notice that?
I did, but I knew that this was a thing that a lot of bands do with their reissues. That they, if they've done a remix or a remaster, they put on the existing video has the new soundtrack on it. Yeah, it's not something that's exclusive to the Beatles. A lot of record companies do that for their artists. So yeah. Well, what did you think? The sort of the unreleased material aside, what did you think about how Anthology 4 sounded as a listen? Did you think it flowed really well, or not great, or what did you think?
I think the first half of Anthology 4 flows really well. I think when we get to the later stuff that we got on the previous box sets, it kind of loses me a little bit because we've heard all that.
Yeah, we have. But there's a couple on there which I think are the best tracks on Anthology 4, and that's Don't Let Me Down from the Rooftop.
Yep.
And You Never Give Me Your Money. Take
36
or something like that.
36.
I love that version. It's great, and that they were my favorite moments. And I think that some of the stuff, when they were deciding, okay, we're going to give them some stuff that they've already had. What are we going to pick? I can't believe that they picked, Can You Take Me Back?
Right.
It's just a throwaway. It's just Paul, working out something on a guitar. And there must, we know that there's better stuff than that out there. I thought Julia was brilliant.
Julia was a great addition on there.
I like that being included, but it's a funny old thing. I think that as a listen, if you kind of listen to it from start to finish, I think it's a good listen.
It is, and you think like that. I just think they sometimes go a little bit too heavy on the instrumentals on these.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Too much. I mean, now listen, the strings only take 39 of something is beautiful, beautiful. But hearing, I'm the Walrus. Take 19 is great, but it's instrumental. Fool on the Hill, instrumental. But I do think, and I think the crown jewel of Volume 4, and I think you'll agree, is Baby You're a Rich Man, takes 11 and 12.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that and the All You Need Is Love as
That's
well.
it. Those two back to back, track 16 and 17, are the best of Anthology 4.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really good, worthwhile outtakes. But going back to something strings only.
Yeah.
That was take 39.
Yes.
So there must be 38 other takes that they could have given us, right? At least.
And we already got that on the Abbey Road box set. So how about take 30? How about take 36?
Yeah, and they've already put the Abbey Road box out, so they're not saving it for anything.
Right.
There must have been something in the vault they could have, for something. Surely, if they did that many takes of the song.
Well, and again, you brought this up too in one of your recent videos too, and this is a really interesting point. I don't think a lot of younger fans realize this, is that there's not a whole lot in the vaults because the early takes are just instrumentals, and then they come in and add their vocals on top of it.
Yeah, that's how they sort of, I think they started recording like that around the Rubber Soul era, because I noticed when I look back at Help, there's lots of takes of Help. So the album I'm talking about for the Help album, there should be quite a lot of outtakes.
Right.
For Rubber Soul, there's bugger all really. It's just instrumentals because they worked on the backing track or the rhythm track, as they call it, and once they got it as good as it was going to get, that was it. It was then overdubbed, so they don't overdub the vocals on the bass and that sort of thing, that was it. So for Rubber Soul, they kind of there's two songs. I think it's Norwegian Wood and Michelle. Oh no, sorry, Run for Your Life and Michelle they did 5 takes for each of those, and that was the most they did of any of the songs.
Right. So
yeah.
What are you going to get there now? Recently, I think even as of today, did you see on the Facebook groups that a demo version of What Goes On dropped? Did you see that?
I did see that. Yeah, I did see it.
From 1963. And the verses are totally different, but the chorus is the same.
Yeah. And
so they could include that. I want to give a quick shout out to our mate down under, Paul Perigo. He sent a video that this morning, and he says, "Oh, I sent it to Tone too."
Yeah. It's interesting, definitely.
That's, again, like that. That's like kind of like the repeating the Yellow Submarine demo that we heard on Revolver, and then of course, which now they put into Anthology, which we neglected to mention. That was a nice addition into the documentary, putting the demo into the film, which was nice.
Yeah.
Anything to round it out, but I think we're in this period now where we're looking at everything from 1965 to the beginning, right? We've got Revolver to the end covered. What can we scrape from the barrel to get out of there? And what we're seeing the best of it, things like I Need You, take 1, beautiful. Every Little Thing, take 6 and 7, great stuff on Anthology, right?
Yeah. I enjoyed those. And I think there are other takes that they haven't used, and they've kind of used kind of one outtake from each album. I think there might be a couple of exceptions to that rule, but basically you kind of get one outtake from each album that they haven't done a box set for.
Right. Did you notice that? I think it was at the end of the rehearsal of All You Need Is Love. John was doing that Anybody But Got a Bit of Money bit again.
Yeah.
The Pac-Man outtake.
Yeah, I mentioned that in my video. Yeah. I thought that was an eye opener.
Certainly was.
I had no idea. No idea.
I'm like, ooh, he's going back to the outtake of Taxman.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's good stuff. I've just seen a Face Take 3, of course, which was great, which didn't sound too different. Nowhere Man was great, but then it was only vocals for a little bit and then became instrumental. That would have been nice to have heard how about a demo of Nowhere Man,
Yeah. There might be a demo. There's no literal outtakes of Nowhere Man with vocals on it, apart from that one, apart from that, the two lines that are on that, because they did about 3 takes or something like that, and then they put the overdubs on, and the vocals were overdubbed.
Right. A lot of chit chat too. I've seen about chart placement for these things, like, oh, they didn't do too well, and chart placings in 2025 don't mean what they meant 30 years ago.
No, and also they're reissues as well. So reissue. I don't know. Some reissues do really well, don't they? I suppose.
Some
think about Queen's Greatest Hits Volume 1. That sold millions, didn't it? But yeah, most reissues maybe in this day and age don't do that well. But a lot of the things don't do that well because people can just stream them, can't they?
They can, and I think it was a nice time to revisit Anthology in 2025. We had been talking about it months ago over the summer when it was going to be launched. Do we need this? And it was nice to go back 30 years ago because we watched this and listened to this so much, probably in the first 5-10 years that it was out, that we memorized it, and then you kind of you file it, right, for decades as you life, you go on, you collect more music, more stuff comes out, but to go back and watch this again, recut, was great. I mean, anytime Paul's being interviewed, he's such a ham. I love when he tells the story about Rubber Soul and how the card falls down and hey, Rubber Soul. It's just brilliant. It's brilliant to watch these moments, these candid moments, and they really did a good job, I think, of bringing John into it a lot more.
Definitely. The show felt like John was involved. I think they'd used more footage of John and also more with, rather than him just being a voiceover, they had either pictures or footage of him, which kind of made him feel more part of it, really.
Which they did in the first one, but it felt much more equal in this recut. Some of the anecdotes were trimmed. Derek Taylor's not in this nearly as much as he was in the original, which is a shame. Neil's in it a fair amount still. I don't think Neil's bits were trimmed too much, but Derek Taylor's were cut, and other they did cut some other things out of it, but I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all.
They cut all the bits with Jules Holland out, didn't they?
They did, yeah. What's some of your favorite kind of bits of the anthology with the storytelling? Is that like I thought it was you three? That's like what's some of your favorite parts of the anthology?
No, my absolute favorite wasn't in the new cut.
No,
it's the one where he tells the story about him and John getting on 2 buses to go over the other side of Liverpool because they've heard that there's a bloke over there who knows B7.
B7.
And and they cut that out. I mean, it's just a great story. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a great, there's no internet where you could look up chord shapes or, they probably couldn't afford books and stuff like that. I don't know. But whether it's true or not, it is a great quote. And that is probably my favorite, really. And they cut that one out. But what about you? You got any favorite?
Oh, anything like the Paul talking about the Maharishi story and John wanting to go up into the helicopter. Me, sir.
Yeah.
Paul's enthusiasm when he's recounting these memories are just so enjoyable to watch because he's got that boyish quality to his face lights up. Or when he's talking about, hey, Jude, the movement you need, I'll fix that. Oh, it sounds like a parrot. You won't, it's the best line in the song. Things like that are just, they never get old watching that.
Yeah. I'll just remember the other one that I really laughed at was the one which I don't think it was in the original, but the one where George has been interviewed. And, he says, are the Beatles more popular than the Queen? And he said, well, I should think so. The Queen's never had any hit records. And
that was not in the original. And we saw that in the trailer. When the trailer dropped, when we were in Montreal, we watched that on the show. And we were like, me, you, and Nick went, oh my God, we hadn't heard that quote before. That was great. So little things like that dropped in. I mean, there are moments though, when you watch that documentary, especially with George, depending on his mood, he could be very kind of up and down about where he was, especially towards the end. He kind of gets very, when he talks about the end of it. And there are moments when, especially with George, he does seem a little bit up and down.
He gets a little bit salty in places, doesn't he?
He does.
He said, what did he say? What album was that on? And he was talking about, what was he talking about? Something off Abbey Road.
Yeah, he didn't even know. He didn't even know which one he was
Golden
on.
Tumblers was it, or something like that.
I liked when he talked about meeting Elvis and they stumbled out of the car, just like with
Yeah.
the laughing, giggling Beatles, just like in the cartoons. So,
Yeah.
obviously them sitting around. And episode 9, which we can get to now, directed by Ollie Murray, which I thought kind of pulled together the best of the 94 footage. We wanted more, but I thought what we saw was really nice. I thought it was a very well directed and beautiful episode. Really just tugged at your heartstrings, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that if you didn't have the DVD set, then that was a really good episode. But they took so much of episode 9 from the
bonus features,
special features DVD that it was disappointing. The bits that they showed, for me, there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough of the three of them working on, Real Love and Free as a Bird and Now and Then. I would have liked to have seen more of that stuff in there.
Because we know that there's 14 hours of footage when we heard.
Apparently.
So, I mean, but again, they're only going to release what they want to release. But anything to see the three of them working on Free as a Bird, even if it's, minimal we'll take anything just to hear them working on it and Paul in the cans and harmonizing with John and all of that. And George too. We would have, again, Beatle fans are never happy or satisfied. So we kind of have to just kind of take it where it is. But episode 9, for what if it wasn't, I mean, out of that whole episode, how many minutes of footage did you think was new to that cut? 5 minutes maybe total?
Maybe a little bit more than that, but not much more.
And you hadn't already previously seen, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. We'd seen some of it. Did we see some of it in the Now and Then film?
Yes, which was also directed by Oliver Murray. Some of that was in it too.
So it's like, as I say, I think too much from the DVD cut was in there.
But again, we this is not made. This was you and I own the DVDs, but the 20-year-olds don't. So
no, all the people that don't, as I say, if you don't have the DVD set, then episode 9 is great. I think
it's a big refresh. In fact, when this dropped, I went right to 9 first and then worked my way back.
Yeah,
you did the same thing.
Yeah. No, I didn't actually. I built up to it, but I did watch the special features DVD. I think the day before the first episode dropped, just so I kind of had it in my head about what was included in it, because I haven't watched it for years.
Right.
I just wanted to get it in my head what was included as that bonus feature, so I could tell how much was being used in the episode 9, because I kind of thought that might be the case.
Hey, but it's the Beatles anthology. It's sold. Shut up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it did back in the 90s, and I just loved it when it first came out. I mean, people say you don't play outtakes over and over again.
Oh,
I did play those. I did play those over and over again because it was just
brilliant.
So
Think about
novel. We've never had that.
Never had that. Even like something is like the early take of 8 Days a Week with the ooh.
Yeah.
We come back to those all the time.
Yeah. And I'll be back in the 3/4 time and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great stuff. There's some great stuff on there.
Yeah. So let us know below in the comments. What did you think of the anthology 2025? Needed, enjoy it, can't stand it. Let us know below. And Mr. Hand, let us know too at some point your thoughts on this, because you were missed for this episode, mate. I would love to hear the hot take Hand.
Just have Kyle on it in the middle, and then just a couple of cardboard cutouts of us at the side.
Yeah. Well, look, stay tuned to a year-end closing episode of Hands Across the Water, which will probably happen when me and the MVP Heidi fly over to the UK between Christmas and New Year's, where Tony and I will do a show with Kyle where we wrap up the 2025 year, talk about our favorite releases, and wrap it all up.
Okay, well, thanks very much for watching. As Andy said, do leave us comments down there, and please give us a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed. We're getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, which is an amazing landmark for this channel that's only been around for 8 months. So that's really great. So thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time. One more before Christmas, probably, or New Year. One more before the New Year. We'll see
Bye.
you soon.